Good morning, sir. Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Good
Morning.
morning.
Is it
Good
morning?
evening.
Sorry, sir. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Take a seat, Shivansh. Could you give us a quick introduction, please?
Sure, sir. So my name is SHIVANSH. I am a native of Hathras in Uttar Pradesh. I was born in Aligarh. I have done my graduation from IIT Roorkee in electrical engineering. Since then, I have worked as a software engineer at Standard Chartered Bank for 6 months. Last year in January, I left my job and I have been preparing for civil services full time since then.
What made you leave your job? You could have been a financial whiz kid in the time to come. What attracts you to the civil services?
Sir, the career prospect here is very good on a personal note. Moreover, there is a high diversity of work here, and I want to serve my nation by being in touch with the public. That's why I preferred a career in civil services over as a software engineer.
You come from UP and specifically Greater Noida area. What was this controversy about the super tech towers? What happened there?
So they were not meeting some of the compliances as per the Supreme Court. That's why the Supreme Court ordered the demolition of the twin towers. There was some issue regarding the distance between the two buildings. That was too close.
What was the culpability of the urban planning authorities here?
So I'm sorry, sir, I'm unable to understand. Can you please repeat the question?
Okay, no, we go on to something else. Have you heard of NCR?
Yes, sir.
What is the full form?
National Capital Region.
And what is this National Capital Region?
So it is the area surrounding Delhi. Government has a plan to develop this area on a priority basis because it is adjacent to the national capital.
Which parts of UP come under this?
So there are 8 districts which come under NCR, namely Shamli, Muzaffarnagar, Ghaziabad, Hapur, Gautam Budh Nagar, Bulandshahr, Bagpat and Meerut.
Yes. Now, coming to the area of governance, what is meant by public service delivery legislation? Have you heard of this phrase, public service delivery legislation?
I'm sorry, sir, I have not heard the term legislation in adjunction with the public service delivery.
Okay, going back a step, Citizens Charter.
Yes, sir.
What is a Citizens Charter? From which country did it originate? Are you aware?
Sorry, sir, I am unable to recall right now.
Okay, so tell me what the Citizens Charter is all about.
So it is the commitment of any organization, be it public or private, regarding the quality and the timely delivery of services along with the proper grievance redressal mechanisms.
Thank you. Shivansh, you have a knowledge of this greeting, the timing as to till when you say good morning, till when you say good afternoon, when good evening starts. Any rough idea?
Yes, sir. So say, before 12 noon it is good morning.
Okay.
After 12 noon it is afternoon. And as far as I understand, after 6 o'clock in the evening it becomes good evening, no matter how late in night it is, because it is always better to say good evening and we can end with a good night.
All right. Okay. You have done electrical engineering from IIT Roorkee.
Yes, sir.
Let me ask a very basic question for electrical engineering AC circuits. What is resonance frequency of an AC circuit?
Sir, it is 1 upon under root LC.
And what is the logic?
Sir, it is the frequency at which the impedance of the circuit becomes minimum, where there is only resistance in play. There is no role of induction capacitance.
You have studied anthropology.
Yes, sir.
Last person on the day, let me ask once again. What is the importance of Lucy in the study of anthropology?
Lucy fossil. So Lucy fossil is quite important because it is one of those fossils which has been recovered to a very large extent. Around 60% of the fossil was recovered, and it led to the further promotion of our understanding of the Australopithecus afarensis, which was a gracile variant of Australopithecines. It was found in the Hadar Valley, and it led to the conclusion, led to a better conclusion that Australopithecines are indeed ancestors to the hominins, that is the Homo erectus.
And that also concludes something different about being bipedal and the development of brain?
Yes, sir. So it also proves that the Australopithecines were the first bipedal mammals. Their cranial capacity was not so much enhanced as compared to their ancestors, and their bipedal motion was also not perfect. They do not have erect posture, that's why they have to spend a lot of energy in order to locomote with a bipedal. It was only perfected at Homo erectus.
All right. You have chosen revenue services over police service.
Yes, sir.
And foreign service for that matter. Any particular reason for this? You are from IIT, you are an electrical engineer. Why revenue service is better than a foreign service or police service?
So personally, although I read it on a very rudimentary level, I had one elective of economics in my college, and I found it quite interesting. Moreover, I think that the tax collection is a very important sovereign function, and that's why I preferred IRS services over the IFS.
Okay, if you are so much interested in taxation and everything, tell me, what is the per capita GDP of India these days?
Sir, it is. Sorry, sir, I'm aware about the per capita income, not the per capita.
It's the same thing, per capita GDP as per capita income in everything.
So it is around 1,70,000 rupees per annum.
Which is about 2,200
Yes, sir.
US dollars.
Yes, sir.
What is the GDP per capita required to become, for India to become a developed country?
So as far as I know, it is $13,000 per annum.
So how many years will it take for India to become a developed country as per normal economic considerations?
Sorry, sir, I am not aware about that. However, we have an ambitious target to become developed by 2047.
Okay, and so then tell me whether it is possible or not, because I am sure you know about rule of 70.
Yes, sir.
What is it?
So it takes 70 years once when a country becomes developing to transit to the...
No, that's not the case. You are guessing and guessing wrongly. Rule of 70 says if you can assume a constant growth rate, divide 70 by that number, whatever is the result, in that many years you will double your GDP.
Okay, sir.
So if a GDP growth rate is considered as 7%, then you will take 10 years to double your GDP. If that is the case, estimated number of years is how much before we can touch a per capita GDP of 13,000?
So given that we sustain the 7% growth rate that we currently have, it will take 10 years to double our per capita GDP, which is currently around 2,000. So it will become 4,000 another 10 years, 8,000 another 10 years, and 16,000. So around 30 years it will take to become a developed nation.
Thank you.
Let's say you are a UP cadre IAS officer, and the government tells you to showcase Noida and Greater Noida to the IT industry as compared to Gurugram. What will you tell the IT industry, like how is Noida or Greater Noida better than Gurugram?
So first I would emphasize on the infrastructure. We have very well planned city in Noida and Greater Noida. Moreover, we are a SEZ, so it would help, it would be an incentive for the IT companies to establish their branch there.
Anything else?
So I cannot think of anything else at the moment.
What about the new airport coming up?
Sir?
Where is the new airport coming up? As a
Jewar Airport.
Where is that?
So Jewar is a subdivision of Greater Noida.
So will not that be an added attraction?
Yes, sir.
Correct?
Yes, sir.
Anything else?
So recently, Greater Noida has garnered the highest investment in the UP Global Investor Summit, with total of 27% of the total investment that was projected in the state, and that too mostly in the higher education sector and IT sector. So that will also be a boost to the.
All right. I noticed somewhere in your DAF something called a green loan.
Sir.
What's a green loan?
So actually, the bank where I worked, they were implementing these green loans, where the concept is that they are providing loans to many corporates, And from third-party vendors, we have gathered data and we have extrapolated it as to when they will become net zero emitters.
Next.
Net zero emitters of carbon.
Is that actually true? Can anybody become net zero?
Yes, so that is not the case. It depends on the industry as well. So the industries which are expected to become net zero, we have given them a target.
Name some.
Sorry, sir, I'm unable to recall right now.
Is there any such thing?
Sir?
Is there any such industry which can become net zero?
Sir, the IT sector can become net zero.
How?
Sir, the IT sector is mostly emitting from their offices. So if they plant equal number of trees or to offset.
Where is the space to plant trees? Let's not go into theory, be practical. Saying that, compensatory afforestation, sir, will know better than me. Where's the place? If I plant a certain number of trees, if compensatory afforestation, if this, if that. So, my point is...
So, we can also opt for more sustainable technologies, which are less...
What kind? Name one. What sustainable technology?
Like, sir, using renewable electricity generated through renewable energy and increasing its percentage as percentage of the total electricity intake.
We are so dependent on coal. Do you think that you see that happening anytime soon?
Sir, it will require intensive research in the renewable technology field, but I think...
But my last point, what about the immediate future? We are already sort of suffering the major effects of climate change. So what do we do in the... My point was not that. My point was that is green loan something genuine, or is it something to convince ourselves that we are going green?
Sir, in my personal opinion, no matter how minuscule the step is, if we are willing to take any step in the right direction that I...
Calling something green doesn't make it green.
Yes, sir.
What steps are you taking, your bank is taking?
Sir, actually back to my original theory, we are telling the corporates that if they are not becoming net zero by 2050, then they have to...
We are going round and round. How will they become net zero? I don't want to take it further. Sir knows better than me.
Standard Chartered's insignia is also green and blue.
Correct.
Yes, sir.
Anyway, so Shivansh, what is the full name of acronym Greater Noida?
Sir, Noida stands for New Okhla Industrial Development Authority.
Okay, so Okhla is in Delhi. So why at all a city in UP should take the name of a Delhi Delhi locality?
So the region is adjacent to the Okhla region, and in order to develop it as an industrial hub, it is named as Noida.
Okay, okay. So let me come back to the question where he left actually. Take a very practical thing, okay? You are an electrical engineer from IIT Roorkee. You are from UP also. UP land is very precious, okay? Now, UP has 24 planned transmission corridors from eastern UP, where most of the coal power plants are located, and also some of the hydropower plants, to central UP and western UP to connect the generation to the load centers. Okay, so what in your understanding as an electrical engineer should be the choice, practical options? There is a demand, okay, we need to consume electricity. Now we have 24 transmission corridors. Land is very precious.
Sir, somehow transitioning to the renewable energy. Currently, we have a 10% capacity for solar energy.
Even if you shift to renewable energy, transmission has to remain there.
Yes, sir.
So transmission system has to be there.
Yes, sir. The transmission infrastructure is necessary to transport electricity from one place to another. So there we can consider decentralizing our grid to some extent.
How?
Sir, sorry, sir, I'm unable to think the exact plan.
No. कोई बात नहीं, चलो. Tell me one thing, that in terms of electricity, okay, what is the current percentage of electricity in the total primary energy consumption of India. And in terms of net zero, you are saying, okay, we are striving for net zero, everybody is aspiring for net zero, and to achieve net zero, how much that percentage should be?
So can you please repeat the question?
How much is the percentage of electricity in primary energy consumption of India? And in a net zero situation, how much of percentage that should become?
Sir, I am not aware about the exact percentage, but agriculture do consume a major portion of our electricity demand in order to extract groundwater.
Okay, no, this is very wide of the response, very wide response. Anyway, you mentioned that you also are interested in underprivileged children education. So when you walk from here to from here to Greater Noida, for example, you'll see at all the traffic signals where your vehicle stops, no, few children will come and they will either beg or will try to sell you something. Don't you think that we should have a very strict law which penalizes the parents? No? They must be imprisoned who do not send their children to schools and force them to work on the streets.
Sir, in my personal opinion, legislation can only go so far in implementing any idea that we want to see on ground.
Let us be very specific upon this problem.
So, sir, I think that tightening the legislation will only work up to a certain point. If we make the laws very stringent, then the parents or any of the groups who are hiring these children on a mass basis, they will just try to find some another route and they will try to create another channels. There should be sensitization of the parents with the help of civil society and NGOs in order to tell them that what are the detrimental effects on their children and how they are becoming liability instead of an asset.
Delhi is not bereft of NGOs. No, very active civil society. Okay, don't you think that NGOs are still working? Nothing is happening actually. Number of such street children is increasing by the day.
Yes, so the number is unfortunately on the rise these days. So it calls for a better effort from NGOs because I would again like to emphasize on the point that we can only go so far in terms of legislation. We can definitely make the legislation more strict. We recently have come up with new Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita. We can add new provisions in there to support for criminalizing this child labor, extending the imprisonment years. But it will not work in the longer run. The change has to come in the minds of the people through active persuasion only. That is my personal opinion, sir.
Good evening. Shivansh.
So,
Shivansh. Yes. You are a student of IIT Roorkee.
sir.
And you might have given that JEE entrance exam.
So,
And your hobby is competitive programming.
so.
Tell me, Shivansh, if a person likes programming, why does he need to give a test for physics and chemistry?
Sir, it actually tests the holistic competence of a person because there are so many branches that are offered by the IITs and many of them require a good basic knowledge of physics and chemistry as well. And we do not know beforehand that what branch we are going to get or we are going to pursue in the desired college. That's why we have to have a basic idea of all the three subjects.
Okay. Comment on Indian education system.
So,
Comment on Indian education system.
So recently we have achieved some strides with regard to the enrollment ratio in primary education. However, it is still worrisome in the higher education system. But the main issue that is flagged recently is that the quality of education is not what is required from the higher education institutions. There are many graduates who are increasing year by year, but their employability skills are highly questionable. So that kind of puts the whole education system in a grey area. So, sir, my advice to that would be that instead of solely focusing on quantity, that we have to generate more number of graduates, there should be an equal emphasis on quality as well. That exactly what all skills are they learning as part of their graduation and how far are those resonating with the skills required in the industry to perform efficiently.
Anything has done in this regard in NEP?
Yes, sir. NEP advocates for vocational education at the primary and secondary school level, wherein some hours have to be dedicated every week so that children get a practical experience of how things get done in the real world instead of just bookish or textbook knowledge. More
Okay.
Yes, sir.
You are an electrical engineer. Electrical vehicles are in demand.
Sir.
What kind of challenges India faces apart from the infrastructure challenge?
Sir, the battery electric vehicles require lithium-ion battery, which is the most efficient one, and India has a deficit of the mineral. Currently, we export most of our batteries from China. We are highly dependent on China in that regard, and that forms an essential component of EVs. Moreover, people sometimes lack awareness so as to adopt EVs, and they are currently more expensive as compared to conventional vehicles. So sometimes consumers have little incentive to shift to EVs rather than the conventional engines.
Okay, and why have you taken this optional anthropology?
Sir, to be quite honest, I consulted my seniors, and they said that the subject was a bit easy and scoring as well. Moreover, when I read the syllabus of the subject, I found it quite interesting and intriguing. That's why I took the subject as my optional.
Okay, then tell me, from anthropology, what is Meghalayan age?
So please, can you please repeat the question?
What is Meghalayan age?
Sorry, sir, I'm unable to.
You are not aware of it. Okay, can you tell me the difference between culture and civilization?
Yes, sir. So civilization is more seen in terms of the urban culture. It is a subset of culture which is seen more in terms of urbanization rather than simply culture. Culture is more organic in nature. A simple tribal society can also have culture, but according to our ethnocentric view, it does not have a flourishing civilization.
Okay. You have mentioned about watching psychological thriller movies.
So,
How different this thrill is from the thrill of doing drugs?
So I would say that it challenges the mind. Our mind gets more working and active, because while watching a psychological thriller movie, there are always subtle hints given throughout the movie so as to what will happen in the very end. But it is very hard to make out what will happen in the last, and the dramatic twist usually comes at the last. So it gets the mind working, and not unlike drugs, wherein the mind goes in a sleepy state or a dreamy state. It actually makes a person more attentive and more attentive to details especially.
Okay, my last question. Tell me how this anthropology will help you in administration.
Sir, in anthropology, we read a lot about the underprivileged society and tribals especially. So I think the anthropology knowledge will help me. If at all I have to deal with some tribals, I will try to deal with them first hand by going to the establishment and talking with them, rather than just sitting somewhere else and passing orders regarding them. Moreover, I can conduct some measures like case studies or surveys in order to analyze the situation which is on ground, because they are the popular methods of data collection in anthropology.
Thank you, sir.
How many mocks have you done?
Sir, 2 so far. This is the 3rd one.
Okay, so obviously mocks help, but beyond a point, they are subject to the law of diminishing returns. You should take a call. Once you get your date, then maybe closer to the date you could have 1 or 2 more. Okay. But we are going to give you some solid tips on practical tips on how to prepare, right?
Okay, sir.
Prior to that, you are sitting in a very stiff posture. Don't sit like that. Sit in a relaxed posture like this. Hands like this.
Sir.
Your spine should touch the back of your chair.
Yes, sir, it is touching.
It is?
Yes, sir.
Good. Proper grooming, hair properly combed, clean shaven, tie knot properly done. At the moment it's sliding down. All these things. We want an officer to be coming in, not a candidate.
Sir.
And you will be being assessed on officer-like qualities. So integrity, don't guess. Logical thinking, balanced opinions, conceptual clarity, self-confidence and poise, awareness of yourself, state, nation, the world, all these are in the mix. Okay? And I would suggest take about 100 or 120 of these A4 size sheets. Think of the possible questions. They come from your DAF, current event, subject and job. Once you have got that question bank made, delve into each topic in detail and then reduce it to 4 or 5 bullet points in order of priority.
Okay,
and
sir.
then sit in front of a mirror and practice.
Okay, sir.
You have all the attributes, otherwise you have a good physical presence, you are able to articulate,
but definitely you should go into a little more depth when it comes to DAF related questions. Brush it out all up. And also, you know, if you are asked why the civil services, and you start off with the usual diversity and things like that, it doesn't really give the proper perspective. Proper perspective is that this is one career option which has the greatest impact with regard to public welfare. So in the initial period you interact with them one on one, and you are in a position to take care of their problems, and later on as a senior you can interact in terms of giving inputs for policy formulation that affects millions across the country.
Yes.
There's no other career option which gives you this kind of leverage.
Yes, sir.
Right? So best of luck, you should do very well. Go there with a clear mind, positive mindset.
Thank you, sir.
All the best.
You're very good.
Very good.
No denying.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
इलेक्ट्रिसिटी सेक्टर को चार्ट जाओ लेके, क्योंकि अभी बहुत कुछ हो जाए इसमें.
Okay, sir.
अब पूरी ग्लोबल पॉलिटिक्स उसी पर है. ठीक है?
But you're good.
And you know, when you sit down, you should open the buttons,
Yes.
and don't forget, good morning is for morning.
Okay, all right.
You're very good.
Okay.
All the
All the
best.
best.
All the
Thank
best.
you, sir.
Bye bye.
Thank you, sir.